David Duchovny is the star of a fascinating new comedy. It's called TV Set, about the insanity of this business by which those of us in front of these cameras make our living. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to be here.
You play a guy who has a pilot and you want to sell to the network, and it sounds like an interesting pilot, and then other cooks take over the stew, right? Happens all the time.
Yes.
Did the movie have any surprises for you? I mean, does that happen to you all the time, or have you encountered that?
Well, it's a comedy first and foremost. So the kind of extremities that we go to and go through in the movie are a little exaggerated for comedic effect. But in general, you know, it is the kind of way that television is filled with so many people drawing salaries that they have to justify a lot of the times, where, you know, they've just got to put their 2 cents in, and you've got to, if you're a creator, you've got to run this gauntlet through producers, network, and then you've got to deal with actors and people who are going to direct your thing and the DP and everything. By the end of it, this guy, he just doesn't recognize what he wrote at all, and it's funny. One
of the things I liked about the movie is that in one scene you let your wife look at the product, and she judges it, and that's the coolest head I know is my wife. You do that with your own wife,
Absolutely.
Even now, the fact that she's an actress clouds her judgment in some way, or can she be totally objective like a viewer?
Well, I don't think she's totally objective, and I like that, because she's supportive, you know. So she always, you know, Taya is very perceptive, and she'll speak, you know, concretely about whatever it is that I'm showing her. But, you know, we don't ever say, you know, that stunk. You know, I would never say that to her, and she doesn't say it to me. So, you know, we just try and find the good. If it does stink, we try to find the good in it.
Now, early in your career, you played a transvestite detective in Twin Peaks.
Yes, I did.
Has she ever seen that?
I don't think she has ever seen that.
Did you make sure she didn't see it before you proposed?
You know what? That's a good question. I don't think she has seen it, and I'm sure my children haven't seen it, and I won't be showing it to them.
Sometimes when couples are actors, they make a pact with each other. When one is working, the other will be home. Yeah. But you also have to go when the job is offered.
Right.
What's the situation with you?
It's really just see how it goes. You know, I mean, we try not to be working at the same time. We try to work at home, work out of home, work in L.A. is the best for us not to go on location. But, you know, you just weigh, you know, is this a project that I must do, you know, artistically or for myself or whatever, and then try to figure out how to make the family work around that as well. And we both get to ask those questions.
It brings to mind my next question. Towards the end of the run of the X-Files, you did an amazing thing. You got them to move it from always rainy, I started to say sunny, Vancouver, I've been there, and it rained that day, what a coincidence, down to L.A.
Yeah.
That's almost unheard of, where the star of the show has that power.
Well, I didn't really have the power.
But you got it done.
Yeah, I was in negotiations at the time to give them a couple more years, so I actually had a lot of leverage at that point, and you know, it was everybody at that point. Everybody had a life in Los Angeles. You know, we'd all kind of relocated for 5 years, so all the principal players in the show were really ready to come back home.
Sure, the Canadian government isn't too happy with you. But,
yeah, because I was the figurehead of the thing, so I kind of got the credit and the blame.
One observer wrote about you, he has a passion for renegade films. Do you know what they're talking about?
No, I think they must have seen my porn collection.
No, but you've made offbeat films, you made films with which you're an edge. I mean, you're not going to be in Spider-Man 9 and that kind of thing. No. That's a career you've chosen. I'm sure you turned down things that would have been much bigger, but things that you didn't believe in.
I think it's not a conscious decision that I make, but I think that one has a natural affinity for certain material, and you find yourself, you know, moving towards that regardless of what you're consciously thinking.
To my knowledge, the only historical figure you've ever played was Officer J.D. Tippett in Ruby.
No, I played
one more.
Other,
what am I forgetting?
That you will love. That I can't believe you don't know this.
What? Maybe I should.
I don't want to tell you because you should know, and it's perfect. It's perfect for you. It's like tailor-made for you. Should I tell you?
Yeah.
I played Charlie Chaplin's cameraman, Raleigh Todaro, who was.
That's right.
Do you know what he was?
He was a real guy.
No, but do you know what else?
Richard Attenborough directed that. Yeah.
You know what he did before he was a cameraman?
No.
He's a professional baseball player.
Well, minor leagues, though, right?
Okay.
But I'm talking about historical figures. He said covering his mistake. Okay. Let's put it this way.
I had a box score with Todaro's name in it.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Let's put it this way. Yeah. One of the historical figures you played, we'll fix it in post.
I do nothing but play historical figures.
J.D. Tippett was an interesting man, and some people have said that he was 2 precincts away from where he was because he had gotten the girl pregnant and all those kind of things. Yeah. Did you do that kind of research when you were doing Ruby?
Conspiracy stuff? No. I mean, the part wasn't really big enough to hold that kind of research, but No, it seems dilettantish, but no, I didn't do any of that.
There was an X-Files movie. There are fans of yours all over the world who will come up to you and say, how did he do this and this?
Right.
Isn't it time for another X-Files movie? Aren't people crying out for that?
Yeah, it's in the works. I'm cleared to say it's in the works by the powers
Where are we?
The dark powers that be. A story and a script on the way.
Do people come up to you and do that as they do with William Shatner with Star Trek? And yours was on a lot longer than Star Trek. They come up to you and they say, how did you do this and that? And you can't remember, or you fake remembering, or what is that?
I can remember a lot. I mean, there's probably about 200 episodes, and I think that if you prompted me, I could remember most of them, but sometimes I can't remember in the detail that fans can.
You are legendary in New York prep school sports. You're one of the greatest athletes. You're the greatest athlete in the history of the collegiate school.
I love this show.
Yeah, and they set more games to you to pad your record in baseball. Which is more dear to you, being that the greatest basketball player in the history of the collegiate school, or one of the greatest baseball players? Because my son was hurt 2 years.
One of the top three.
Which gives you more pleasure?
Probably that. You know, I mean, when I was up until the time I was maybe 20 or 21, I think baseball and basketball and other sports that I enjoyed were really my life. And if I could have been not just a great prep school athlete, if I could have been actually a great athlete, I would have chosen to be a professional athlete over anything. You
did play a little college ball, too.
Yeah.
First time on the court in a college game, albeit Ivy League basketball. I know the Ivy League. Yeah. Still, it's a very different ball game, literally, isn't it?
Yeah.
Much faster.
People are bigger. The funny thing is, it's not really the speed, it's the strength. And, I'm only about 6 feet and, not that big. And it wasn't, I was fast enough to play. I don't think I was strong enough.
How did it go from playing, what was it like from making the transition from one of the smallest, cramped gyms in New York, the collegiate gym on West End Avenue, which is actually a sixth man on the team, to a big college arena?
Yeah, I was out of breath a lot. I was like, I didn't know a court was really 80 feet. I thought a court was like 55 feet.
When you work with actors who are directors, Sir Richard Attenborough comes to mind. Is there a different perspective that you can sense because they've been through what you've been through, rather than somebody who was a director and said, get the job done?
Well, everybody comes to directing from a different avenue. I mean, a lot of them are DPs, a lot of them are actors, a lot of them are writers, so they all have their strengths coming from where their background is.
Your co-star in this movie was Sigourney Weaver, whose father was Sylvester Pat Weaver, whose uncle was Doodles Weaver in Spike Jones' Crazy Band, by the way.
That I didn't know.
Yes, he was. And her father created The Today Show and The Tonight Show, and J. Fred Muggs, the chimpanzee who was the mascot of the early days of the Today Show, stole her hat one day and almost bit her.
What's it like in there? What's it like in there? It's crowded, isn't it?
Did she tell old stories about the early days of TV?
No, but I could tell it was a very kind of sweet experience for her to be able to play a network executive. However, ironic a portrayal or comedic a portrayal it was, that she kind of felt in league with her father at that point. So I think it was really pleasurable for her to be in the movie in that way. This is
David Duchovny, the star of the movie called TV Set, and perhaps the greatest baseball player in the history of the collegiate school, one of the best certainly, and he's coming soon perhaps, or sooner than later we hope, in the next X-Files movie. Let's hope so. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too.